Restore the minds back so that the leg won't have to think black. Grace and device come with separation, and I know we trust, so we not looking for reparation. Clarity equals transition when we lift the black turn brains of social seeking. The internally high, the unlimited power, 144,000 will rise. While the black race stay in the dead state, the bright race stay alive, and you know why? Yeah, cause we came home to the most high, yes, we came home to the most high, and that's how.
The bright race of reality, we are here, raising up our community, no fear. Solar power is flowing through the atmosphere. It's only right we resummon and channel out of here. There's no helping the black race, they all did. Mobilizing the beast in the forehead. There's no turning us back, we focus forward now. Our only focus is on it, we will never bow. Yes, we're taking this oath, this is our pledge. Our only focus is on it, we are full-fledged. The bright must never play games, power don't play. We focus on honest work, seeking the brighter day. We all give for this power, we don't look back. The ones really of honor will never fade to black. With the elected of honor, you better recognize the next order of honor is surely on the rise.
Truly the descendants of the army things, pure as the whispers of the summer breeze, moving through this life and may sing with these. Thankful for the day that the honest chose me, proud for the mental chains that was broken free, and my mind can forever extend constantly. No other part of life's material possessions, we connect with our minds with the thought stages of impressions. Finding this reality while focusing on honor what they have in store for us. When you really have the elected, there's no way you can ever be rejected. Have your mindset forward and backwards, no, not never again. We are the bright race, stand focused, moving into the fourth dimension. Shifting in and out like a dominated cube, while seeing fruit spectrums and colors of major shoot. As we collectively moving about, the whole world is stopping, start to shout. Hell, amen, yep, yes indeed. We're moving at the speed of honest so righteously. No changing the bright lines, moving on one soul accord. As the righteous select comes together once more. Reconstructing our mind, body, souls, and ethos. Preparing righteously, Lord, order, bringing in a full fiery judgment. Burning away all the beasts and corruption. By restoring natural law, order, and stretching the families all across the lands. We have the power key to our future plans. We all are real, army and women. Our judgment will get this planet, the soul and cleanse. Straight from the omnipotent beings. Yep, it is the ROM, it's where we stand. How if it is, yep, we are the armors. This is our planet, and we're coming to take it.
Good evening. Before I start, I always want to start off in the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord. In Amen we trust, in Amen we thank, and in Amen we continue forward forever. Good evening. Welcome to High and Mighty Talks with me, Nuben Menkares, and I'm going to touch on a lot of subjects tonight, so bear with me. I'm just relaxing, all right? And I'm in relaxed mode, as you can see. This is my lounge, yeah, you know, my house lounge, yeah, and everything. And You know, I like that people are tuning in and watching High and Mighty Talks. I appreciate you all who tuned in and watch High and Mighty Talks. And those of you who are supporting High and Mighty Talks, we're only going to get bigger. You know, when I committed to getting back on the platform and, you know, on the YouTube platform and doing this, I said I wanted to have a different approach, a different feel to it. I wanted to be more laid back, more down, you know, home and just, you know, relaxed. We're having a conversation. So, you know, everything happens in the midst of having a conversation. You know, babies might be crying, you know, wives might be, you know, arranging things. So, like I said, I like that. I like it as a home feel. You know, me, I'm here doing what I do when I'm home, relaxing, you know, smoking and thinking about things. But anyway, a lot of topics to touch tonight. Let me see. I got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. I'm gonna start off right now with my thoughts on the Kanye West thing. You know, I don't usually do this, you know, this timely media stuff where, you know, basically things are timely. People are talking about things going on in the media and, you know, just to get attention. This thing about Kanye West and what he said about the Jews, right? I saw what he said on Drink Champs, and I saw him speaking about Caucasian Jewish business people. I don't think he was taking shots at the whole of Jewish people, but I think it was more or less about the Caucasian Jewish business people, right? And entertainment industry and banking system, you know, and the government, the media, whatever the case may be. And, you know, a lot of people are really putting a lot of emphasis and energy into it, and I'm wondering why. Why is the people putting a lot of emphasis and energy into what Kanye West said? The man's an entertainer. He's just an entertainer. That's it. You know, why is it that black people feel the need to put emphasis in the things that entertainers say and do? Why is there such an interest? He's just like anybody else. He has an opinion just like anybody else. So why is it that black people got so much to say about this? You know, one of the things Kanye West didn't say about the Jews, which he should have said about the Jews, you know what he should have said? In my opinion, he should have said black people need to be more like the Jews. He should have said that. Black people need to be more like the Jews in that they stick together, they do business together, they come under one mind, body, and spirit for them. Whereas we're supposed to come under one mind, body, and soul for us. We're supposed to be a community like that. We're supposed to move together like that. You see, that's the foundation of Caucasian Jews' power. They move together. They move in lockstep. You see, they don't go off code. They are the highest order of white supremacy, Caucasian Jews. You see, because that's really what the whole Judeo-Christian thing is. It's, you know, the Jews in charge and the Caucasian Jews in charge and the Caucasian Christians fall up under them. But I'll go more into that in my MENTELLECT Patreon. Again, you know, for people to sit up here and put emphasis on or, you know, take seriously what Kanye West said, and, you know, he's an entertainer at the end of the day. He's an entertainer. That's it. You know, there's much more important things going on in the world than what Kanye West says. And now everybody's concerned about his money and, you know, and his money being, you know, put in jeopardy. Let me tell you something. I'm going to just be honest with you. The way a lot of these so-called, these black YouTubers are going on about the Kanye thing, right? And they so concerned with his money. Certain people always talking about people pocket watching. Well, why the hell y'all pocket watching Kanye West? Why are you worrying about what money he's going to lose or what money he's going to gain, whether he could put his money in the bank or whether he could do this, that, and the third? Whatever happens, it's all going to blow over. And I think Kanye West, as a man, knows what he's doing. You know, it just starting to sound like to me, I'll be honest with you, a lot of these so-called black YouTubers are supposed to be so-called, quote-unquote, black conscious. It just really seemed like to me, that, you know, it's like, oh, you done made them people mad. You know you don't make them people, Kanye don't make them people mad. You can't go doing that. It sounds like some flam-flam, Shim Sham Sambo Coon stuff. And I told you, all these pro-black cats, all these dudes, I'm gonna say, I'm not saying a lot, all of them. A lot of them, they have that Uncle Tom mentality, a lot of them. Because why is it that y'all making such a big deal out of what Kanye West said about the Jews? What is the big deal? You people talk about people all the time. So what? Nobody is untouchable when it comes to people's opinions of you. Nobody's untouchable. I don't care who it is, black, white, yellow, gray, Jew, whoever. Doesn't matter. People are going to say things about people regardless. Again, why hold the world, try to make the whole world seem like they're supposed to be held hostage, so-called black people, or the so-called, quote-unquote, so-called black community that doesn't exist? Why are y'all worried about Kanye West? Is Kanye West worried about you? Is he worried about you when he was laying between a white woman's legs and whatnot, making his babies? He wasn't worried about you. He wasn't worried about when he was hanging around Donald Trump. So, man, the hell with Kanye West. Who cares? Anyway, let me move on. Yeah, I said what he should have said about the Jews is black people need to be more like them as far as cohesiveness and coming together. And like I said, that is reminiscent of the time of the old Nation of Islam under the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when they came together and it was more of a strength type of thing, people for of and by each other. That's what strikes me as being and making an impression. If you say these people are powerful, look for the reason as to why they are powerful. They stick together. Black people could take a page out of their book instead of sitting up here. See, they control the industry that make us not do this, and why we can't do that? Well, we can't do this, that, man. Go ahead with that. Anyway, nobody this important to be talking about, or nobody's this important to be sitting around here thinking about like this. Anyway, I asked the question, are black people really against white supremacy? Absolutely not. Black people are not against white supremacy. You can't tell me black people are against white supremacy when you turn it around and you see the black woman with a damn wig on her head like a white woman. You see? Or you see so-called black men, breaking their necks to go get white women or mix their seed out. So don't tell me that black people don't support white supremacy. They do all the time. They support white supremacy every time the so-called black man goes to prison for something stupid and whatnot, and gives his body over to white supremacy to be a servant and a vessel for white supremacy. So don't tell me that black people don't support it. Every time you kill a so-called black man kills another so-called black man unjustly or for no reason, or a black woman, you support white supremacy because that's what they want to do. A lot of you so-called black people, you have that mindset, you have that self-destruct mindset set in you where you are set to destroy your own kind, destroy your own people. So you think nothing of destroying each other, which benefits so-called, quote-unquote, white supremacy. When y'all can't get together, or when you tear down a movement or a community or something that's about the upliftment of our people, when you do that, you supporting white supremacy. Whether you know it or not. Yeah, so black people would. When I always said this, I said that if black people had the chance to be in charge of the society tomorrow, they would do it for so long and then be waiting for white people to come back and take over. But so much for your black and white thing. Hell, even black people, like I said, I'm going to get into that in a second about the whole status thing of black and white and thing. I'm going to get to that in a second. All right. Next thing I want to say. Why black history and Pan-Africanism hurt our people. Why did black history, a cobbled together concept of Caucasians and these so-called pro-blacks, this cobbled together idea of a so-called Black History Month? And when you look at what Black history is, when you look at a Black History Museum, when you look at what a Black History Month, you got to ask yourself, what is Black history? There's a huge portion of our true heritage and history missing in this whole so-called Black history thing, or Black History Month, or whatever the case is, or Black Studies. It's a big piece of our history gone. You say that when you say things like Black history and Black this and Black that. It's like you saying a redacted history of these people, a redacted, in other words, a stripped history, a history that's been stripped, taken away, and just replaced with nothing. Because when you look at black history and what people was supposed to be historical amongst so-called black people, it's nothing. Again, I told you about the term black. Black is used as a term to wipe something away, to cover something, to hide something. So when you're talking about black history, you're talking about hidden history of a people. Hell, you're even talking about a whole hidden people, a whole group of people's history that's been hidden. I said this before. I said in my comment on Facebook, I said, how do you make hundreds of millions of ethnic Americans disappear? How do you make hundreds of millions of ethnic American people disappear all over America and around the world? Now you make them disappear by telling them they black people. By telling them they black people, because you can't kill all of them. So what you do, you can't stop them from being born. You can try to stop them by pushing abortion clinics into their neighborhoods and things like that, and getting these simple-minded black females to agree to go along with killing their children, or getting these black simple-minded males to go and take their baby mama to the damn abortion clinic when y'all need to be getting your damn numbers up and getting your minds right and rating and caring more about your seed and your progeny instead of having your enemy kill your baby. That's another thing. You so-called black people support white supremacy because you kill your babies. You abort your babies. I said before, if you don't want to have a baby, then make him put a condom on. Make that nigga put a condom on, okay? Or you put some of that, whatever that fandango, whatever garbage you put inside your body to stop you from having babies if you want sex that bad. Or practice the damn pull-out method. Whatever the hell you do, don't go killing your babies. Don't go destroying your body. Don't go having some man lay with you who you don't, and coming up inside you and you don't even want a baby with this person. Don't go doing that. If you out here just to have some fun, then goddamn it, have some fun. But don't destroy your body while in the pursuit of having fun. Because I don't understand what's fun about destroying your body, tearing up your body, killing your babies. They try to get you to be what's the word I want to use? They try to get you all to be, just dismissive about killing your children like it's nothing. They tell you all kind of nothing. Oh, it's not a real, it's the baby not real because the heartbeat ain't starting on. Man, they was telling you can kill your baby up to 8 months, man. You see, you can abort your baby. They ain't gonna never stop telling you so-called black women that you can abort your baby. They'll tell white women that before they tell you that. Man. So, black history, it was really, like I said, was black history created to fill the void of our real ethnic American culture? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Black history, the whole, we came over here on African slave ships, because basically, the Caucasian elites wanted, they knew that eventually our people would go out and look for what our true history and what our true heritage is here in America. So, in order to basically throw a roadblock up into that, they had to create a history for our people. They had to create a curriculum, a history for our people, basically a program for our children to study so that we are brainwashed into believe, or should I say brain stained into believing that we just came over here from Africa on slave ships and that we just was picking cotton. And then next thing you know, Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, and next thing you know, here we are today. That's not our history, man. That's what you call a redacted history. That's redacted. A lot of our history has been taken, been gone. Again, what they won't tell you, like I said, ethnic American culture is Native American culture. You see, and I'll say Native American, what they call it there. I'm not even going to call it Native American. It's Mesoamerican culture. First and foremost, our culture is Mesoamerican culture. Our culture is the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan. That's our culture. Okay? The true mound builders here in America, that's our culture. That's our civilization. The true mound builders, the true civilization builder, first civilization builders of America and beyond, that's our culture that's being hidden under black history. That's our ethnic American culture. And we bringing it out, man. We bringing it out because, as I said, as the 21st century, we as the American Republic, we as the order of MENTELLECT, we're the only ones that stand on the fact that our people are the only real Americans here in America, the only real ethnic Americans here. We're the only ones standing on that. Ain't nobody else standing on that. A lot of these guys, these these pro-blacks and all these guys are flip-flopping. They halfway want to have their foot in Africa, then they want to halfway have their foot here, thus making the term African-American. We're not doing the African-American thing no more. That's dead. No more African-American. No more black neither for the most part. All of those terminologies need to go into the garbage. They played out. There's a new mindset on the horizon. There's an extended mindset on the horizon, I mean to say, which lets us know that before we move forward as a people, before we evolve as a people, we must know where we come from as a people and who we are as a people, where we really come from. And that's our history in Mesoamerica. Look up Mesoamerican, the bone and punk temples and whatnot. Bypass all of them showing you images of Mongoloid Indians and Mexicans and Latinos. Those false pictures they trying to replace the face of our true Mesoamerican heritage. We are those Mesoamerican people. We have no connection or tie whatsoever with Africa. We are not Africans. We are Americans, the only real Americans here. And that's the history that's being hidden. That's the history that your Caucasian elites and your Caucasian school system, they don't want to teach you. They don't want to teach our people that. You see? They don't want to teach our people that. But it ain't up to them to teach our people that. It's up to us to teach our people that. That's all it's up to. It's up to us. We're not looking for nobody. And again, I'm going to talk about that too. This expectation that black people have so-called, quote-unquote, black people, or should I say ethnic American? Because I said ethnic American, why you, excuse me if I don't use black and ethnic American interchangeable, because you see, ethnic American is supposed to be a cleansing, I look at it as a cleansing phrase for our people. What I mean by that is we supposed to have ethnic American as, you know, coming out on the other side of blackness. In other words, I don't want to use black and African American to be interchangeable with ethnic American. In other words, we're supposed to dump black and African American and become renewed as ethnic American people, as the real Americans of this land, the true builders of this land. Because as I said before, had it not been for 300 plus years of slave labor, there'd be no America. There'd be no United States of America. There'd be no American government, or United States government, I should say. Because without an economy, there is no government. Well, anyway, let me keep going. That's a lot of things tonight. Because you know me, like I said, I like to hit topics. I like to get in, hit it and quit it and keep it moving. You know, I like to just hit topics. Let me see. Some of this stuff I'm going to save for my Mentellect Patreon. I kind of touched on the Judeo-Christian thing. All I'm going to say is what I said, you know, you'll be able to listen to that on Mentellect Patreon. Some stuff I'm going to skip over because I want to go into greater detail on my Mentellect Patreon page. Just go to Mentellect Patreon and become a patron of my Mentellect page. You'll hear all the raw and cut. You'll hear the nightly broadcast that you may have missed. You'll hear the raw and cut, just the little things I do explicitly for Mentellect Patreon. You'll get to hear that for only $15 a month. You'll hear all of this, everything. So support the channel, Mentellect Patreon. Anyway, the Judeo-Christian thing, like I said, it kind of deals with the hierarchy of the Caucasian elites and the, you know, regular, you know, mid-level Caucasian and the bottom level ones. So that's all I'm gonna give on that. And how that's set up as the Judeo-Christian society that we live in, which is really Greco-Roman. So, all right. Let me see. Who were the real first settlers of North America? The first real settlers of North America are the Mayan people. Okay, that's the first real settlers. It was not no Mongoloid, Asian, Red Indians. The first settlers, the first real settlers of North America were the Mayans. Go and look, and you see who the Mayans look like. The Mayans look like our people. The first settlers, and like I said, the Mayans came in from South America, Central America, into North America as the first settlers of America. And why they were coming into here is because you started having the Mongolians started coming into the South regions and parts like that of South America, Yucatan. And a lot of our people just started moving. You know, a lot of them stayed in those regions, but a lot of our people started moving from those regions into North America. You know, just basically to spread out. And we were the first ones. That's why you go back and look at the Mayan that you and George, you look at the all of the mound cities or the mound communities here that are covered with forestry and things like that. You can go with Illinois, Georgia, North Carolina. You know, it's all over the place in different cities, and they keep finding these mound cities. So it was proof that our people were living pretty much all over the North America first, as we came in from South America and Central America. Our people came here. Okay, A.R.C. So our people came here. Check out the guy Cameo. The guy said Cameo, he got some really good stuff on the Iroquois nation and how the Khmer, what's his name? Carino. Okay, I keep mispronouncing the guy's name. Forgive me. I like your work, like I said. So go check him out. I'll always keep his link because, like I said, I believe in, or should I say, I acknowledge. I don't like to say believe. I acknowledge the you know, shouting out at people that are doing the real work, and I see this guy doing the real work and bringing out our Mesoamerican history and basically killing that whole African American thing. 1,000 go aheads. You need to come back too, man. You need to come back and start making some videos ASAP. I like your videos. I ain't seen nothing from you in about a year or so. All right. So, do we got any questions? My wife gonna take the questions. I ain't got time to be reading no questions. I'm gonna let you know right now. We got any questions? Okay. So the first real settlers of North America are the Mayans, which are the copper-colored people. Now, the funny thing about that is, I had put up something where it showed you the so-called way called about the Red Indians, right? It talked about the Red Indians and how in one breath they'll say that these were the first natives of America, but they totally bypass the Mesoamericans. How do you bypass the Mesoamerican empires and things like that? And it'll already come out that your early Americans are bronze, copper-colored people. The people are falsely being called black people and African Americans today. They're falsely being called that. And this is all coming out right now. So I'm going to just straight up say the hell with Pan-Africanism, the hell with being black, the hell with black consciousness. Because those are nothing but a bunch of created misdirections for our people, a bunch of faking moves for our people. When I say faking moves, what I mean is, you know, people who give us this faked out doctrine, this faked out belief, and then just expect us to move in a direction to nowhere. And that's what's been happening with so-called black people ever since we became black here in this country, ever since we let them tell us through Jesse Jackson, the Caucasian elites used a puppet Jesse Jackson to tell us that we African Americans, that we come from Africa, this whole slave, even the Caucasian elites using a puppet Alex Haley to tell that lie about roots. And I bet a lot of y'all still believe roots is a real story. A lot of y'all probably still believe that there was that he was connected, that he came from some slave called Kunta Kinte. I bet y'all still believe that. You do know Alex Haley plagiarized that character, Kunta Kinte, and the whole roots thing for the most part is plagiarized, right? He might have used a little bit of his family, but for the most part, the whole African slave and Kunta Kinte coming here from Africa to America, that's a lie, man. He copied that from a guy by the name of I forget he basically lost the lawsuit. The guy's name was Harold Corlander. He lost the lawsuit. Alex Haley lost the lawsuit to this guy in about 77 and 78, where this guy was suing Alex Haley. He sued ABC that made Roots, the Walper Company. All these people were the plaintiffs or plaintiffs in this case, and you know, against the guy Corlander, who wrote a book called The African, where he basically, Alex Haley read his book and plagiarized his characters openly. And Alex Haley had to pay this guy, and he openly apologized for it. But so why is this not being let out? Why is this not being pushed in the media? That Roots is a hoax. And the whole reason why ABC and all these people that aired Roots as a miniseries is because they were trying to promote the whole black people we come from Africa, and this is not really our country, and we're not really native to this country, and that we come from a place called Africa, which is a lie. And a lot of our people went for that. And a lot of our people started getting involved in the whole African Mama Africa talks and the black conscious talk. And after that, it was just pretty much all downhill from there. And when I say all downhill, that was pretty much the end of our people. Because to notice with Pan-Africanism, with all these different things, it never really did anything to elevate our people. Pan-Africanism, black consciousness, never did anything to elevate our people. Nothing. But our knowledge of who we are as ethnic Americans will. So, let me see. Oh, let me get to this Jeffrey Dahmer thing. I said I was going to touch on this. I saw the Jeffrey Dahmer series. All right? I saw the Jeffrey Dahmer series. And if everything they say really did happen the way it did happen, but yet Netflix tends to put its little spin on things, because you already know Netflix got a big agenda when it comes to the programming of future black people. When it comes to the programming of future so-called black people, the ethnic Americans, the future people of our kind, when it comes to programming our people, Netflix has a very huge interest in that. That's why you see Netflix is always promoting black men on these movies that they make as homosexuals, promoting the women as like either lesbians or they bed wenches, and they want to lay with every other race of male other than the so-called black man. And they want to promote this narrative, right, of the black woman lusting after the white man, all kind of nonsense like this. But then the black man is emasculated, the so-called black man is emasculated. This is a narrative that Netflix is being used for to push this, you see. And in a future state of thought, we have to be mindful of this and watch everything Netflix does, if you can't even keep your Netflix. Because at a certain point, I didn't even really want to keep my Netflix. I was just kind of tired of being, I was tired of being programmed or attempted to be programmed by Netflix and, the agenda, And so I was like, all right, I'm watching this thing. And for the most part, they did just like what I said. It was basically, the Dahmer movie was basically being used to push more imagery of black men being homosexuals. All right. You had one scene in there where a guy sucking on Jeffrey Dahmer's finger, which I don't know why the hell they would show something like that where this black dude is sucking on Jeffrey Dahmer's finger. And I'm going to call you a black dude for doing that. You a black dude. You ain't no ethnic American nigga. You got up here and you sucked on some white man's finger. And I'm like, I guess them actors all do. Ain't no way these actors ain't gonna tell me they ain't got sugar in their tank. So you willing to do something like that to suck on another man's finger? So I'm like, that scene wasn't even necessary. You see, and they kept just showing a whole lot of black males being all openly gay and stuff like that. They just kept showing it. I'm like, why is this ain't this Jeffrey Dahmer story? Why are they going into the side stories about this openly gay, the deaf guy and all this other stuff? Why are they going into all of that? It just screams agenda. It screams agenda. Let's just show as many images. Let's just take this opportunity. Well, Jeff's a homosexual. Jeffrey Dahmer was a homosexual, a homicidal maniac, a weirdo, and a freak. So let's just take this opportunity to also talk about the black gay men that he took into his apartment that were probably looking to hustle and come on to him and do it, whatever. They tried to basically demonize a lot of those men, those males, I should say, excuse me, not men, those males. They were looking to demonize a lot of those males, and they're the black males who ended up going home with Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm going to just say this. I'm going to just say it like this. Whenever you involve yourself with the beast, expect to get devoured. When you get involved with the beast in some way, shape, or form, when you trust in the beast, like they did, like those young black sodomites did, when you trust in the beast, expect to get devoured. That's all. And that's the problem. A lot of you so-called black people, you trust in the beast. And why the beast, you already know who I'm talking about. You know what the people I'm talking about when I'm talking about the beast. When you trust in the beast, expect to get devoured. You can't blame nobody for your stupidity. You so-called black people. And that goes back to what I said about Kanye West. Look, the very people he was complaining about, the Caucasian Jewish business people, those are the people that got him his $1 billion. You see, so he'll shut up after a while. Don't worry about that nigga. He'll be all right. He'll shut up. He ain't crazy enough to let his money go. I ain't worried about his money. I don't care what he did. You know what I'm saying? Let me move on. Is spirituality another form of Satanism? Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Why is that? Because what does spirituality teach? Spirituality teaches of an unseen force, and this unseen force of, darkness, and this unseen, this is unseen force. So something that's seen is out of sight, and anything that's out of sight is in darkness. So if something is out of sight and it's unseen, it's in darkness, what does Satanism promote? Satanism promotes darkness, dark magic, dark art, blackness, black energy, black magic. So again, that's the same thing. It's just people opening themselves up as embodiments or open body receivers for all kinds of spiritually demonic possession. That's the spirit. That's what they be talking about in the church. Oh, you catching the Holy Spirit? You catching the spirit? You catch the spirit 9 times out of 10. That spirit is a demon you catch it. Matter of fact, it is a damn demon. Anytime it's going to throw an old woman on the floor, anytime the spirit gets you to throw an old woman on the floor, make her jump around like she on a damn hot plate somewhere, or she on the damn stove jumping around. You see? Yeah. You see? Yeah. So the spirit that these people keep talking about catching is always a demonic spirit, man. It's always a demonic spirit. All spirits are demonic. All spirits are demonic because they're in this 3-dimensional realm. The spiritual realm is the other side of the physical realm. And then you have that solar race of beings, those beings who have souls. They're the open vessels to 4th-dimensional power, which I talk about, my bro, because I ain't going to get too heavy with that. This is, I got to keep it kind of light because, I'll lose a lot of people in the translation. But anyway, catch MENTELLECT radios. Tonight I'm doing American Republic Radio. All right. You know me, I just talk and I touch on topics and speak on stuff until I run out of topics for that time. Let me see. Let me check out the stuff on my wall. Let me see. I think I touched on everything that my wife inboxed me. Now let me start going through random topics on my wall. Give me a second. See. Oh, I said I would give proof as to how black people still see themselves as property of the beast, property of Caucasian white people, so-called. How black people still see themselves as property of these people. You ever see when black people ask for, say things like, check out what a lot of these pro-blacks say when they say things like, we want a seat at the table. When they say things like how certain black YouTube creators was all like, speaking against Kanye, but in a way trying to make it seem like they would, chastise them, but like trying to look out for them. But I'm gonna just be honest with you, it was really sounding like, oh, Kanye, what you done did now, what you done said against them people, you don't say nothing against Massa like that. That's the kind of vibration that was coming off with a lot of these niggas that was talking too much about this Kanye thing and who he offended. Man, listen, in life, you're going to offend people. Ain't nobody is offendable proof. You see, nobody is, what's the word I want to say? Nobody is immune to being offended. Nobody. But a lot of these people get like, don't say nothing about them people now. Come on now, Kanye, what you doing? Don't go mess up your bag. Don't mess up your money. All right, whatever. But my thing is this. Black people see themselves as still as property and not as people, because only people who see themselves as property or possessions got to check in with and care about what other people think. Now, who do black people care about offending? Who do black people care so much about what they think? Who do black people care so much about being the first one to sit down with these people, or being the first one to sign a deal with these people, or being recognized or being validated in these people's eyes? They care about that. That's that connection between black and white people. Tell me I'm wrong. Don't black people care more about what white people think than anything? They care more about what white people think. They care about white people giving them validation. They keep talking, they need some white friends. So it always comes off as some, oh, master, am I pleasing you, master? That's always the type of energy I get in these black and white encounters, where black people trying to watch what they say. Let me tell you something. White people don't care about what they say. And they feel free enough to say it. They don't care about what they say. They don't hold their tongue. They don't watch their mouth when it comes to you. But you gotta, when you say something about them, you all cringe in the corner. I don't want to make them mad now. I still want to see at the table. And I've seen a lot of so-called pro-blacks talk like that. We'll let you know what level they really on. They on that goddamn slave level. You see, a slave is a possession, is it not? The slave is the possession of its master. And don't black people talk like that? When they gonna give us another holiday? Well, I don't heard black people still talk like that to this day. And I'm referring to these people as black and not ethnic American purposely, because we as ethnic Americans, we don't talk like that. We don't give a shit about what nobody think. We don't care about what nobody think, especially not people that don't look like us. We say what we want to say, whenever we want to say it. And if it's if it's based in reality, if you got to be factual, logical, oh well, that's just what it is. Unlike black people, y'all always y'all don't worry about disrespecting each other, but you worried about offending other people. You worry about offending Caucasians or the Caucasian elite. You weren't worried about that. You shaking in your boots about that. You see, that's the people who still think is slaves to a master. A slave is a possession to the master. Tell me I'm wrong. Why all these black people, after they didn't get out of slavery, why didn't they change their names to African names, if that's the case, if y'all African so much? Why haven't you changed your names to African names? Look at all those African names that you could have took on. Why hasn't anybody, including people like Umar Johnson, who doesn't have a legal African name? He's still going by Umar Johnson. He's telling you about pro-blackness and Pan-Africanism and being African so much. Why don't he take an African name, a real, legal African name? If you claim to be African, why don't you choose a African country where you come from and say, you know what, my people, I'm gonna go over there and get it popped off and get it going. And I'm gonna bring my people over there and funnel my people over there, and we're gonna set up the new Wakanda, whatever the hell y'all believe in. Which again, Wakanda is really based on Mesoamerican traditions and culture. That Wakanda thing is really because the panther is native to America, not to Africa. So Wakanda is really talking about Mesoamerican culture. You wouldn't know that though. I don't even want to see this Wakanda Forever movie. I don't even want to see that. Everybody keep telling me to go see the Black Adam thing. I'll see. All right. So that just proves to you, because y'all still care about what white people think, that proves that y'all are property of white people. You see yourselves as property to white people, and mentally anyway. And some of y'all physically still. Why, well, I'm going to save that for Mentellect Patreon. The Emmett Till thing. Some of that stuff I'm going to say Patreon. I'm going to go into that. Subscribe to Mentellect Patreon, man. I'm going to put a lot of content up there. I said this. I want to touch on what I said here on Facebook. I talked about, why we were referred to as copper-colored people and not brown people. See, and this proves to you what I said, that we definitely are the copper-colored people. Why we are referred to as copper-colored and not brown, not beige, not red, none of this other stuff. Why we were referred to as copper? Because copper is an element. It's a metal. It's an element, right? It's a precious metal. And if you look at copper, right, you look at, copper, metal, copper wire, you'll see that it has a sheen on it. It has a sheen on it, like a fine, shiny type of sheen to it. That is the same sheen that we as bronze people, the only ones, have the same sheen on our skin as copper, as the elements. We have the same sheen in our skin. And if you look at everybody else, from the Mexicans and all the so-called brown people, they don't have that sheen to their skin. They have a very dry look to their skin, which makes them brown people. You see, that makes them brown people. Your Arabs and all these brown people. And what I said, that's why we're not referred to as brown. They'll sit up here and call us black, which is totally incorrect. Our skin is not black. Our skin is that bronze copper color. And that's another reason why they wanted to hurry up and call us black people, because they already had down in the 1828 Merriam-Webster dictionary, and they had a whole lot of chronicles of what the true American natives or the true ethnic Americans look like. I don't want to use the term Native American because I don't want us to be confused with the Mongoloid Indians. Okay, that's why I use the term ethnic American, because that is more on par with who we are as a people. You see, I use the term ethnic American for that reason, because we are the ethnicity of America. We are the ethnic culture, the first and only real ethnic culture here in America. Because let me ask you something. If the so-called Indians were here so long, why don't you see their influence in America? If they were here and there was millions of them, and they don't miss me with the whole white man just wiped them out, and you're supposed to see their influence somewhere in American culture today. You don't see none of their influence. You see our influence all over American culture. Now, how that happen? Now, here we ain't even, supposedly, we not from America, but our culture is all over America, and yet the people that supposedly been here first, the longest, none of their cultures here. Miss me with that. Miss me with that. No, that's BS. See, their culture, which your red Native American Indians, their culture was ripped off from Mesoamerican culture. I told you, all of that Indian stuff, a lot, mass majority of the Indian culture, so-called Indian, is not even Indian, because Indians are native to India. The culture that they call an Indian culture is Mayan culture. A lot of it is Mesoamerican culture. Go back and look at the Bonaparte Temple. You look at the feathers in the hair, the bows and arrows, the way our people dress. A lot of it is that's our culture, man. That's Mesoamerican culture, which they try to attach that to the Latinos of the day with the straight hair and things like that. That's not their culture neither, man. Those people come from, are connected to the Mongolians who crossed the Bering Straits and came in here into America and found our people here as the first real Americans. So, gotta get some quick history straightened up here in order for us to move forward. That's why we got the same sheen. I put it on my Facebook. We got the same sheen as copper. So that's why we don't look like no brown people. So it don't look right to call us brown. We're not brown. The Mexicans are brown. You see, the Arabs, a lot of them are brown. We copper colored people. We got the sheen to our skin. We got a sheen to our face. They got a dry look to their face. Right? So, not even the so-called tribal Africans, the people in Africa, they can't even be called bronze. A lot of them got that brown, dark brown, dingy look to their skin. No disrespect to them, but I'm talking about the tribal ones, because a lot of our people are in Africa and they're not even really Africans. But I'm going to go into that another time. Let me see. Oh, let me touch on this. The real reason why a lot of these black organizations don't want to admit that we are the real Americans. Let me touch on this. Do you know that a lot of these organizations, like the Hebrew, these movements, organizations, whatever you want to call them, communities, whatever, you do know the foundation of what they teach is built on the African slave trade story, right? You do understand that the majority of what they teach in their religious belief, be it the Israelites, be it the Muslims, you know, a lot of you Christian people, Pan-African, all that is based on the whole we came over here on slave ship story. Packed like sardines, the African Holocaust and all this other stuff. That's what it's based on. That's the whole story of that is based on that there. So now question, as that is being debunked every day, that we didn't come over here on no African slave ships, that we were already here in America before everybody. We actually walked into North America from South and Central America, as that reality of who we are as the Mayans, who they still finding mounds over 1,100 years ago in Georgia and all over the place, which are our people. Okay, as that is being revealed, and that whole transatlantic slave trade thing is being debunked, because yes, they were transporting our people on slave ships, but what they were transporting them is up and down here in America, in the different ports and different harbors that they set up to get people up, offload people onto the land. That was set up for our people. They were transporting our people up and down here in the United States, not from Africa. That's a lie. And they did bring in some of our people from South and Central America. Yeah, later. That was later. They tried Africa once or twice, and they said never. They didn't really do it because I told you it was too many casualties on an Atlantic slave trade. on a transatlantic slave ship. There was too many casualties, too many sickness, too many death. Then you have to teach these people to speak English and things like that. So it wasn't worth the investment, because remember, slavery was an investment. They wanted to go with a safe investment, which is to get the natives of the land who know how to work the land, and then we take those people, bring guns, and enforce and take them as prisoners, as hostage, as prisoners, and we force them to work. Basically, like how they was doing so-called black people. So they was doing black slaves, because that's how they got slaves started. The whole idea was, we taking you prisoner like you did something, because the Caucasians pretty much start to make themselves law enforcement, and the law was, you know, all people are going to be slaves, and basically any white man could take a gun and tell them, y'all are slaves now, get on to this plantation, and you working for us. That's how slavery got started here in America. And you had a lot of people who wasn't trying to have it. A lot of people was like challenging them. A lot of people was like, get up out of here with that. And a lot of people wasn't made slaves. Excuse my daughter in the background. She having a fit, right? She does that from time to time. She have her little fits, little temper tantrums. But anyway, that's how slavery got started in America. Okay, it didn't get started by no damn transatlantic slave trip and no ships bringing no slaves over here from Africa. That's a lie. But you know, you can't, a lot of people, like the Nation of Islam, the Hebrew Israel, all them people whose foundation is based on the whole slave trade story, that pretty much collapses a lot of their doctrine then. Because according to the Israelites, Judah, you know, you was going to be on slaves and come into a land that's not your own. Yeah, that is true. Because once the beast used us to set up the American economy here, and they set up their governmental system, it was like this wasn't even our land no more. They took our land. So yeah, and yeah, we did come from South America and Central America. We did come from our homeland. We didn't come from no Africa. We came from South and Central America. Most of us came here, and those who wasn't here, they was brought over here on slave ships because the distance was shorter, and they was transporting our people up and down on slave ships here and in America. So they just wanted to connect all of that together when they start laying out history, because they don't want to admit that our people, the Caucasian elites and the Caucasians in power now, they don't want to admit that the real Americans are our people, and that the ongoing beef between black and white is really an immigrant versus ethnic problem. Meaning that the ethnic people are the original people. These are the original people that were here in the land before everybody, and then come the immigrants, and they want to replace the ethnic people. That's what the whole black and white thing really is about. That a lot of your so-called black conscious people and leaders don't want to say, because then it just totally makes their doctrine look like BS. You see, to have to admit that we're not African, that just plays out. Thank you, Dad. Need me some water. You really think the Israelites who have been standing on this Jacob thing and Judah, you really think they're going to come out now and say, oh, we was wrong about the African slave ships, we really American? Because then now that throws off the whole thing about the Mongoloid Indians being part of the tribe of Israel. Then it throws off the whole thing about the Mexican. It throws off a lot of things if you go with the truth. So these people, rather than go with the truth and collapse their whole little 12 tribe thing, where they basically want to accept everybody who don't look like us. They want to accept the Latinos, the Mexicans, and all these other people, and really not our people. I'm not talking about the bronze skin Latinos. I'm not talking about y'all are people, but the ones with the straight hair, the ones who look like Mongoloids, the ones who will be the first ones. Let it be something to go down. They with the so-called white man. And they with the Italians and everybody else against our people. A lot of you Latinos with the straight hair, you don't rock with us. A lot of y'all think y'all white. And even a lot of you niggas, you Latinos who black, a lot of y'all think y'all white too. Until the real Caucasians show up and give y'all the niggas a wake-up call. And let y'all know y'all ain't nothing but a bunch of you-know-whats. You know. Basically a bunch of niggas who can speak Spanish. Or what they call y'all spics. Until they let y'all know the real truth, the harsh reality, when y'all sitting up here trying to act like y'all Italian, trying to act like y'all anything other than us, and then you want to play like you with us. Nah. I'm out of here with that. Keep the fat Joes. All right. Yeah, so they don't want to admit that because that's going to collapse the whole foundation of their doctrine if the whole African-American slave thing is false, which it is. All right, I'm about to wrap it up soon. 8:30, okay. All right. Let me see. I think I touched everything. Actually, I'll run through it all. All right. So I'm going to just wrap this up. It's 8:30. I'm going to wrap it up. We're doing American Republic Radio tonight. So tune in for that. It's going to come on at 10 o'clock. I'm going to try to start it early. If not, I'm going to go and start at 10:30. But that's it. We're going to close out in the name of Amen, by the power of Amen. Amen we trust, and Amen we thank, and in Amen we continue forward forever. Stay tuned for the next High and Mighty Talks. We'll probably be doing something in another couple of days. Yeah.
Pause. Somebody asked why were we hidden? Why were we the hidden?
Why were we hidden?
Yeah. And then we got our sister Gonzetta trying to call in.
Okay, I'll answer that. Why were we hidden? Because, like I said, just here in this country, it's a reason why in this country, whenever our people set out to do something, so-called black people set out to do something, we thrive at it and we advance at things we set out to do here in this country, because anything that is native to a land is going to grow in that land. I'm sorry, Robert Zed, I didn't get your call. We'll do it next time, but let me answer this call. Meaning that anything that is native to a land will flourish in the land. That includes people, everything, vegetation, anything that's native to a land is going to flourish in the land. That's why whenever our people put their mind to something, to do something that's righteous, to do something that is forward thinking, we tend to achieve that. And we serious about it, we achieve that. And the Caucasians know that. That's why, in slavery, when they started grabbing up our people and enslaving our people, the very thing they didn't want us to know was that we are the real Americans of this land, that this is our land. If you got caught trying to read or trying to move on, or think beyond being a slave, they want to beat you. They want to, abuse you if you try to think past that, because they knew that once our people fought past slavery, once we started learning how to read, see, a people who know how to read, a people who start thinking about other things other than being a slave, that's a people who are going to be free. And then next thing you know, those people will pretty much do anything to be free, even if it means killing their master. Now, let me address this thing real quick while I'm here. I'm going to just go ahead and address this. The Kanye West thing, I'm going to bring this back again. And this is why the slave masters didn't want our people to read and whatnot, because number one, or once they let us out of slavery and they start letting us read and become educated, quote unquote, they're going to tell us that we could not have a school of medicine and we could not have a school of law. You could teach them everything else, carpentry, woodworking, all that, which is essential. But they didn't want us to have schools of medicine and law because these are things that we would thrive in. That's why they tore down Black Wall Street and not just Black Wall Street, other prosperous cities in America that our people built, because it was too reminiscent of the mounds communities and mound societies we built here in America that thrive. See, everything we build here in America, as long as we stay focused on it and do it, it's going to thrive. That's why we were used as a resource to the Caucasians who owned it, because we knew how to work the land. We knew how to grow on the land. We knew how to, and that would happen a lot of times where we would have our land prospering and flourishing in places like Mississippi. And a lot of these Caucasians, their land was, they didn't know how to, they didn't know how to grow on their land. They didn't know how to, so they would get mad and see our people flourishing on the land, growing and, growing food and everything prosperous. And their land be all dry and dirty. They didn't know how to basically cultivate the land. So what they going to do, they're going to get their guns and take your land. And they get out of here, or you going to work for us. You see, they do stuff like that. You see, that's why so when they did the thing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that's not the first time they did that. They always do that whenever they see our people prospering, because they do not want the natives. They do not want the natives to prosper. That's rule number one of any colonizer. The colonizer does not want the native to thrive, because if the natives thrive, then that means that the colonizers are losing. That means in their mind, the colonizers can't dominate the land. They can't take the land as they own. They can't, if the natives are doing well, and making things happen, then the colonizers, they don't have no power. And that's what that's about. The colonizers have no power. Okay? So, you know, they got to hide our history, man. They had to hide our history because they know if we knew our history, we would flourish here. If we knew we were the only real Americans, think about that. If we knew that we were the only real Americans, the only real ethnic Americans, the only real people who are indigenous to this land, and that we didn't come from no place else other than America, and that everybody else is on our land, how do you think that would make us feel? How do you think it would make us feel when the white man can no longer say, you niggas need to go back to Africa? When we can say, you crackers need to go back to Europe, where you belong. And everybody else need to go back to where they belong. You see, it's okay for them to insult the natives of the land. It's okay for them to denigrate the natives of the land. But then when the natives get knowledge of who they are, that's a problem. It don't hit the same no more. The whole go back to Africa, you African monkeys and porch monkeys and Negroes and niggers and all that don't hit the same no more. Their pride starts to come up in your chest. Pride. You see, and pride produces power. I'm going to just leave you with that. All right, so we're going to close out once more in the name of Amen. By the power of Amen, Amen we trust, and Amen we thank, and Amen we continue forward forever. Check out American Republic Radio on Blog Talk tonight. Subscribe to High and Mighty Talks. Share this to everybody. And also subscribe to MENTELLECT Patreon. Good night.